We turn to page 142 and we rise for the Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMorach, Baruch Adonai HaMorach le'olam va'ed.
Please be seated. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzer or uvorei choshech, oseh shalom uvorei et hakol. Hameir la'aretz v'ladarim aleha barachamim, uvtuvo mechadesh bechol yom tamid ma'aseh v'reishit. Ma rabu ma'asecha Adonai, kulam b'chokma asita, malah ha'aretz kinyanecha. Titbarach Adonai Eloheinu al shevach ma'aseh yadecha, ve'al me'orei or she'asita yifarucha sela. Or chadash al Tzion tayir v'nizkechu lanu mehera le'oro, baruch atah Adonai yotzer ha'me'orot. Ahava rabba ahavtanu, Adonai Eloheinu, chemla gadola v'teira chamalta aleinu, ba'avur avotinu v'imotinu, shabatu v'cha, vatlamdenu chukei chayim, kein techonenu utlamdenu. Avinu ha'av harachamam, hamrachem rachem aleinu, v'ten bilibenu lahavin ulahaskil, lishmoa lielmod ulelamed, lishmor v'laasot ulakayem et kol divrei Talmud Toratecha be'ahava.
Ve'ha'er einenu, ve'ha'er einenu, v'toratecha, v'dabek libenu, v'mitzvotecha, ve'yachet levavenu, le'ahavo yira et shemecha, elo nevosh, elo nikalem, elo nevosh, le'olam va'ed. Ki v'shem kodshecha hagadol ve'hanora v'tachnu nagila v'nismecha v'shutecha Baruch atah Adonai aboker be'amo Yisrael be'ahava.
We rise for the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
We turn to page 160 and we read together. True and steadfast is this teaching, beloved and treasured, a source of wonder, a fount of goodness, a thing of beauty and ours for all time. And true it is, the eternal God is our sovereign, the rock of Jacob, our protecting shield. Through all generation, God's name lives on. God's throne stands firm. God's dominion prevails. God's grandeur and faithfulness endure through eternity. God's words are precious. They will live forever. From Egypt you redeemed us, Adonai our God, and from the slave house you set us free. For this the people who felt your love exalted you, and the ones whom you found precious sing hymns of praise, blessing and thanks. To the living God who reigns forever, high and exalted, inspiring wonder, who humbles the proud and raises the lowly, who frees the captive, redeems the oppressed, and sustains the poor. God responds to the cry of our people, their prayer in time of need. Sing praise to God Most High, most blessed source of blessing, as Moses, Miriam, and all Israel sang this joyous song to you.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורות תהילות אוספלי, שירה חדשה שבחו גאולים, נשימך על שפת הים, יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. צור ישראל, צור ישראל, קומה בעזרת ישראל, קומה בעזרת ישראל, גלינו, גלינו, אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני, גל ישראל.
We turn to the Amidah, page 166. Please rise.
Adonai, sifatai tiftach, ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. זוכרנו לחיים, מלך חפץ בחיים, החוצינו בספר החיים, למענך אלוהים חיים, למענך, למענך, 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 למענך אלוהים חיים. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אמן. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה, רב להושיע, מוריד הטל. מחכה לחיים וחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ברופא עולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישוע. מי כמוך אל הרחמים, זוכר יצוריו לחיים ברחמים, ולמען אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. Amen.
Please be seated. Next year, at this time, where will we be? That is the question of the next prayer, the central prayer of our high holidays, the Unetana Tokef. For many years, this poem has seemed to us to pass over us as solemn and remote, It's in the past or off in the distance somewhere, but this year, it's an intimate and timely question. Where will we be next year? Will we be well? Will our world become healthier? Will our country heal? Will we be gathered in this sanctuary together? Who will rest and who will wander? Who will be tranquil and who will be troubled? Who will be humbled and who exalted? Unitana Tokef.
ונתנה תוקף קדושת היום, כי הוא נורא ואיום, ובוא תנשא מלכותך, ויקום בחסד כיסאך, ותשב עליו באמת, ותשב עליו באמת.
Let us proclaim the power of this day, a day whose holiness awakens deepest awe and inspires highest praise for your dominion. For your throne is a throne of love, your reign is a reign of truth.
אמת כי אתה הוא דיין ומוכיח ויודע ועד וחותם וסופר ומונה ותזכור כל הנשכחות ותפתח את ספר הזיכרונות ומאלוהו יקרב וחתם יד כל אדמו.
In truth, you are judge and plaintiff, counselor and witness. You inscribe and seal, you record and recount. You remember all that we have forgotten, and when you open the book of memories, it speaks for itself. For every human hand leaves its mark, an imprint like no other.
ושופר גדול ייתקע, וכל דממה דקה יישמע, ומלאכים יחפזון, בחיל ורעדו יאחזון, ומלאכים יחפזון, בחיל ורעדו יאחזון. ויאמרו הנה יום הדין, לפקוד על צווארו מדין, כי לא יזכו ונכבדים, וחובעי עולם יעברון לפניך כבני מרום, כבקרה רואה עדרו, מעביר צונו תחת שבטו. וחובעי עולם יעברון לפניך כבני מרון, כבקרת רועה עדרו, מעביר צונו תחת שבטו. כן תביא ותספור, ותמנה ותפקוד נפש כה חי, ותחתוך קצבה לכל בריאה, ותכתוב את שכר ליבם. ושופר גדול ייתקע, וכל דממה דקה יישמע, ומלאכים יחפזון, בחיל ורעדו יאחזון, ומלאכים יחפזון, בחיל ורעדו
a great shofar will cry, Tekiah. A still small voice will be heard. Angels in a whirl of fear and trembling will say, behold the day of judgment, for they too are judged. In your eyes even they are not blameless. All who come into the world pass before you like sheep before their shepherd, as a shepherd considers the flock when it passes beneath the staff. You count and consider every life. You set bounds, you decide destiny, you inscribe judgments.
Rosh Hashanah יקטבון וביום צום כיפור וביום צום כיפור יחתמון וביום צום כיפור וביום צום כיפור יחתמון כמה יברון וכמה יברון מי יחיה ומי ימות מי בקיצו ומי לא בקיצו בראש השנה יקטבון וביום צום כיפור וביום צום כיפור יחתמון וביום צום כיפור וביום צום כיפור יחתמון מי ואש ומי ומים מי וחרב ומי וחיה מי ורב ומי ועצמה מי ורש ומי במגפה מי בחניקה ומי בסקילה בראש השנה יקטבון וביום צום כיפור וביום צום כיפור יחתמון וביום צום כיפור וביום צום כיפור יקטמון מי ינוח ומי ינוח מי ישקיט ומי יטורף מי ישלב ומי יתייצר מי יעני ומי ישיר מי יושפל ומי ירום בראש השנה יקטבון וביום צום כיפור וביום צום כיפור יקטמון.
On Rosh Hashanah, this is written. On the fast of Yom Kippur, this is sealed. How many will pass away from this world? How many will be born into it? Who will live and who will die? Who will reach the ripeness of age? Who will be taken before their time? Who by fire and who by water? Who by war and who by beast? Who by famine and who by drought? Who by earthquake and who by plague? Who by strangling and who by stoning? Who will rest and who will wander? Who will be tranquil and who will be troubled? Who will be calm and who tormented? Who will live in poverty and who in prosperity? Who will be humbled and who exalted?
Uteshuva, utefila, utdaka, mavirin et roh hagezvira.
But through return to the right path, through prayer and righteous giving, we can transcend the harshness of the decree. You are everything that we praise you for, slow to anger, quick to forgive. You do not wish the death of sinners, but urge them to return from their ways and live. Until the day of death, you wait for them. You accept them at once if they return. Since you created us, you know our impulses. We are but flesh and blood. We who are mortal, our origin is dust, and so is our end. We wear out our lives to get our bread, like broken vessels, like withered grass, like a flower that must fade, a shadow moving on, a cloud passing by, mere dust on the wind, a dream that flies away. But for you, ever-living sovereign, time has no limits. Your presence, unbounded by days and years, is everywhere, a glorious mystery none can decipher. Your name is worthy of you, and you are worthy of your name, and our name you have linked with yours.
Lekadesh, Lekadesh, Lekadesh et Shimcha ba'olam, Lekadesh et Shimcha ba'olam, Keshem shemokdishim oto bishmei marom. Kakatu al yad liviecha, vekaral zel ze be'amor. Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzavot, Melech ha'aretz kevodo. Adir, Adirenu, Adir, Adirenu, Adonai, Adonai, Adonenu, Madir, Madir Shimcha b'chol haaretz. Baruch kevod Adonai mimkomo. Echad hu Eloheinu, hu Avinu, hu
Ledor vador nagid godlecha. We will teach your greatness, Ledor vador, from generation to generation. And to the end of time, we will affirm your holiness. Our God, your praise shall ever be on our lips, for your power is boundless, sovereign, and holy. We pause for silent prayer.
Sing shalom, tova uvracha, chen v'chesed, v'rachamim aleinu, ve'yoku Yisrael amecha. Barechenu Avinu, Barechenu Avinu, kulanu ke'echad be'or panecha, ki be'or panecha natata lanu Adonai Eloheinu. Torah chayim ve'avot chesed, u'tzedakah u'veracha ve'rachamim ve'chayim ve'shalom ve'tov belecha. Levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך, בספר חיים ברכה, בספר חיים, בספר חיים ברכה ושלום ופרנסה טובה. ניזכר וניכתב לפניך אנחנו וכל עמך בית ישראל. לחיים טובים לשלום, ברוך אתה אדוני עושה השלום. אמן.
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
This morning, I am honored and filled with joy to stand here as your new rabbi. It's not exactly how I envisioned it, to say the least, but nonetheless, I have looked forward to this moment, to this opportunity for days, weeks, months, and even years. I feel I am put on this earth to serve the Jewish people. It is my passion and my obligation and my privilege and my pleasure. To get to this moment right now, I've moved countries, I've learned new languages, studied, programmed, traveled, taught, counseled, made mistakes, and also had some successes. Every single moment has been worth it because right now I am standing here as your new rabbi. They say interviewing for a rabbinic role is like dating. When you find the right match, you don't look any further. For me, the Village Temple was that natural fit. You showed yourselves to be sophisticated, intellectual, non-pretentious, kind, and community-oriented people. You asked piercing but compassionate questions. You cared about those more vulnerable than you. You created opportunities for your children and your teens and yourselves to live Jewishly. And honestly, you just seemed really downtown. As someone that lives uptown, I'm going to have to work really hard to try and pretend that I am as cool as you are. These first few months with you have been remarkable. As you may know, I've been on a mission of sorts to meet someone from every single Village Temple household before the high holidays. I didn't quite get there, but I'm pretty close. I've taken walks in the neighborhood, and you've come down to your lobby or your stoop to spend a few minutes of Shabbat with me, just talking. I've spent time on your rooftops for small gatherings. I've had dozens and dozens and dozens of Zoom meetings and made countless Shabbat Shalom phone calls. I've prayed with your young children and played trivia with your teens. After all of these encounters, I want to say thank you for welcoming me, for confiding in me, for asking me questions, both existential and everyday. If we haven't connected yet, when I call you, answer. I want to know you. When I do meet with you, when we talk, I hear a lot of emotions that you would expect. Anxiety, stress, trepidation, and yes, even fear. And that makes sense. I feel it also. We live in scary times. We're afraid for our children. What does back to school even mean? Should we have taken our children to college? Should we allow them to socialize? Can we stop them? We are afraid for our parents. They are already vulnerable. Should we move them? Should we see them? We are afraid for ourselves. How can we work? Will we be healthy? Can we even go out? And we are afraid for our country, and we are afraid for our community. And it all makes sense, because like some kind of cosmic contraction, our world shrunk violently and quickly. If you're not a New Yorker, if your heart is not with this city, you can't really understand what the beginning of this dreadful thing was like. The silencing of the streets when the only sound was the smattering of frantic sirens, the shuttering of schools and the palpable panic of parents everywhere, the stockpiling of supplies, who knew what was coming? The financial fears, the illnesses, the deaths, watching a hospital spring up in Central Park, unthinkable. Seeing our city itself get sick, watching our friends and our loved ones leave this earthly world, seeing people in my family die, seeing people in your family die. This was real. This was trauma, and we're still in it. The way I see it, we have two choices. Choice one is be like Jonah, whose story we read on Yom Kippur. Jonah, you remember the story, is called on by God to deliver a prophecy to the city of Nineveh. He's supposed to tell the Ninevites that they've sinned and they need to atone. He can't take it. He's terrified of his responsibility. So what does he do? You know what he does. He goes and throws himself into the belly of a whale. He hides out. He buries himself in the sand. It's a very human response, by the way. He runs, he panics, he shuts himself off from God and from the world. That's choice one. Run and hide. I don't mean literally, I mean metaphorically. Hide away from the world. Choice one is to live forever in isolation and loneliness and darkness and fear. Avoid the world. Shun God. And maybe for a time, especially in the beginning of this, that made sense for us. Maybe we will have to live like that again soon. I hope not. Choice one of how to react to a pandemic is to make the choice Jonah made, to live a life of fear. But remember, no great Jewish thinker has ever urged the Jews to be like Jonah. No one wears bracelets that say, "What would Jonah do?" He is not a role model. He's an anti-hero. There is another choice. Jonah, remember, eventually does come out of that whale and move forward with his life. I know it's Rosh Hashanah, but this pandemic started for us right around Purim, and I can't stop thinking about Queen Esther. She dared to approach King Ahasuerus to out herself as a Jew. He sat there with all the power, holding his scepter in his hand, and she knew that with one quick movement of that scepter, she could be sentenced to death. But nevertheless, she persisted. She approached him and spoke out for the Jewish people, saving us from Haman's hateful plans. Think about Shifra and Puah, the midwives who defied an order from Pharaoh himself to save the lives of infants. Fear must have penetrated their very bodies, but they did not heed Pharaoh's evil commands. Or think about Pharaoh's daughter even, who at great risk defied her own father's decree and saved the life of Moses. Think about the Maccabees, a tiny ragtag group of country folk rising up against a massive, all-powerful opposing army. But they did, and they won, and we're still here because of it. There is another choice besides living like Jonah did. The other choice, besides fear, is courage. For 5781, I challenge us to choose courage. Courage in the face of fear is a Jewish mandate. Don't be like Jonah. Be like Esther. Be like Shifra and Puah, like Pharaoh's daughter or Judah Maccabee, who looked fear in the face and said, "Not anymore." Choose to remind yourself that pandemics end. They always have, and this one will too. Be brave enough to believe in God even in the face of terrible times. Know that your children will recover from this, and so will you. Pull your nerves together and be confident that our beloved city of New York will come back. After all, we've been counted out many times before. I'm not talking about being reckless or foolish. After all, I'm giving a high holiday sermon to an empty room right now, for goodness sake. I believe in science, in precautions, and safety above all else. I'm talking about having courage of the heart. It's what Judaism calls ometz lev. There is no measure to the strength of a people when we arm ourselves with ometz. That's what the rabbis taught. So please, do not give up. Do not dwell in fear. We've done enough of that. It's time for something else. Speaking of courage, a note to the frontline workers in our community. I have a story just for you. Standing at the shores of the Red Sea, Moses raised his staff to part the waters, and nothing happened. With the Egyptian army hot on their tail, the Israelites panicked. Moses had never failed to produce a miracle before. Murmurs erupted in the crowd. Should they turn back and surrender? Should they allow themselves to be enslaved once more? They felt defeated and hopeless and paralyzed with fear. Then out of the crowd, a single figure emerged. A man named Nachshon walked into the water. He waded in that water and it came up to his knees. Nothing happened. He went deeper, so the water rose up to his chest. Still no miracle came. He forged in until the water covered his face, above his nose, and he could scarcely breathe. And only at that moment, when he was almost completely consumed by water, did that Red Sea part. And the rest of the people followed behind Nachshon, walking towards liberation. To the healthcare professionals among us, to all of the frontline workers among us, you are our Nachshon. When the rest of us were shuttered in our apartments, you charged into the breach. You waded into that water, and because of you, your bravery, your perseverance, your courage, we, too, are on our way towards liberation. The village temple honors you. You are our heroes. Thank you. We see you. We clap for you. We are grateful for you. What you've done, the sacrifices you've made, the unthinkable commitment to preserving the physical health of others is a heroic mitzvah. In the face of disaster, you screwed your courage to the sticking place and you saved so many. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty much over 5780. It was a year of sadness, stress, anxiety, tragedy, and fear. I'm ready to believe that 5781 will be different. I'm ready to walk into this new chapter in my rabbinate and say that the village temple will be leaders in the downtown community. We will be innovative educators, inspiring preachers, and supportive congregants. We will fight for justice when others run. We will have the audacity to move forward despite what the world will throw at us. And I challenge you to make this a year of courage for yourself. Have ometz lev, strength of the heart. Come forward, come out of those dark places and into the light. And so this morning, as we welcome the new year, I say that we will beat this. May this year bring you renewed hope in our world. May you dare to dream of a future beyond our reality. When fear comes, and it will, may you face it with courage. At the end of Moses' life, he said these words to the new leader, Joshua, Chazak, Chazak, ve'amatz. May you go from strength to strength, and may you be strengthened. Shana Tova. We turn to Avinu Malkeinu and we rise.
Avinu Malkeinu, Anenu Vanenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Anenu Vanenu, ve'ein banu masim. Asei manu, tzedaka v'chesed. Asei manu, tzedaka v'chesed, ve'oshienu. Asei manu, tzedaka v'chesed. Asei מלכותך מלכות כל עולמים.
For the Aliyah, we welcome Sari Shear and Sam Kopel.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaBarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaBarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher b'chavanu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. For the chanting of Torah, Joel Roskind.
Amen. Vayehi achar advorim ho'eleh v'ha Elohim nisa et Abraham vayomer elav Abraham vayomer hineni vayomer kafna et bincha et yihidcha asher ona ohavta et Yitzchak v'lech lecha al eretz haMoriah v'halehu sham li'olah al achad ha'arim asher omar elecha. Vayashkem Avraham baboker v'yachavosh et hamoro vayikach et shnei ni'arav ito v'yet Yitzchak beno uvayivaka atzei olah v'yakam v'layelech al hamakom asher amor lo hu Elohim bayom hashlishi vayisa Avraham et einav vayaret hamoro merochok. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nota b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten HaTorah.
Amen. For our next Aliyah, we welcome Jackie Moline to the Bima. I just want to take a pause as she walks up and say that she is here both for herself, but also representing all the healthcare workers, all the frontline workers in our congregation, and we are so honored that you are here with us.
Baruch et Adonai HaBarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaBarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai HaBarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten HaTorah.
Amen. For the chanting of Torah, Sandy Nell Tamney.
Amen. Vayomer Avraham el na'arav, shavu lechem po im hachamor, va'ani v'hana'ar nalcha ad ko v'nishtachavet nashiva l'alehem. Vayikach Avram et atzai ha'ala, vayasem al Yitzchak beno, v'yakach b'yado et ha'esh ve'et hama'achelet, v'yalchu shenechem yakdav. Vayomer Yitzchak el Avraham aviv, Vayomer aviv, Vayomer haneni v'ni, Vayomer hine ha'esh v'ha'atzem v'ha'yaseh le'olah. Vayomer Avraham Elohim Yiralo Haseh Leolah Bani Vayalchu Shenechem Yakdav.
Gorgeous. Shana Tova.
Leave that there. Huh?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. For our next Aliyah, we welcome David Friedman and Rachel Gluby to the Bima.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amin v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayavu el hamakom asher amar lo ha'Elohim. Vayiven sham Avraham et hamizbeach v'ya'aroch et ha'etzim v'ya'kod et Yitzchak beno v'yasem oto al hamizbeach mima la'etzim. V'ishlach Avraham et yado v'yikach et hama'achelet lishchot et beno. V'ikra elav ma'al Adonai min hashamayim vayomer Avraham Avraham vayomer hineni vayomer al tishlach yadcha el hana'ar va'al ha'aslo me'uma ki ata yadati kirei Elohim ata v'lo chasachta et bincha et yechidecha mimeni.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam natan b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. For the blessings before and after Torah, we welcome Darcy Bradbury and Eric Seiler.
Baruch Hu es Adonai Hamvarah.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Beautiful. For the chanting of Torah, Arthur Rovine.
Amen. Vayisa Abraham Evenav Vayav Hinei Ayil Acha Nechaz Bazvach Bekarnav Vayelech Avram, Vayikach et ha'il, Vayalehu le'elot tachat beno, Vayikra Avraham, Shem hamakom hahu, Adonai Yireh. Asher yomer hayom v'har Adonai yireh vayikra malach Adonai el Avraham shenid min hashamayim vayomer V'nishbati ne'um Adonai ki yan asher asita et hadbar hazeh v'lo chasachta et bincha et yechidecha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam natan b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. For the lifting and dressing of the Torah, Corey Eskenazi and Alex Tab.
וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל. על פי אדוני ביד משה. לי 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 לי
For the blessing and chanting of Haftarah, Eliza Brosegold.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nviim tovim v'ratzah b'divreihem hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai Habocher b'Torah ובמשה עבדו ובישראל עמו ובנביאי האמת והצדק. ויהי איש אחד מן הרמתיים צופים מהר אפרים ושמו אלקנה בן ירוחם בן אליהו בן תוכו בן צוף אפרתי ולא שתי נשים שם אחת חנה ושם השנית פנינה. ויהי לפנינה ילדים ולחנה אין ילדים. ועלה האיש ההוא מעירו מימים ימימה להשתחוות ולזבוח לאדוני צבאות בשילה. ושם שני בני עלי חופני ופנחס כהנים לאדוני. ויהי היום ויזבח אלקנה ונתן לפנינה אשתו ולכל בניה ובנותיהו מנות. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם צור כל העולמים צדיק בכל הדורות האל הנאמן האומר ועושה המדבר ומקיים שכל דבריו אמת וצדק. על התורה ועל העבודה ועל הנביאים והיום השבת הזה ועל יום הזיכרון הזה שנתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו לקדושה ולמנוחה לכבוד ולתפארת. על הכל אדוני אלוהינו אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך. יתברך שמך בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד ודברך אמת וקיים לעד. ברוך אתה אדוני מלך על כל הארץ מקדש השבת בישראל ויום הזיכרון.
So now we turn to our shofar service. If you have a shofar at home, now is the time to get it out. Wake up your neighbors, let them know it's Rosh Hashanah. It's okay. If you know the calls, please join me in calling the sounds of the shofar. We begin our service with the blessing for the shofar calls.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lishma kol shofar Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Shecheyanu v'kiyamanu v'higiyanu lazeman hazeh. Amen.
Tekiah, Shevarim Teruah. Tekiah, Tekiah, Shevarim, Tekiah, Tekiah, Teruah, Tekiah.
הרשת שפתנו ירב לפניך אל רם ונישא הרשת שפתנו ירב לפניך אל רם ונישא מבין ומאזין מביט ומקשיב לכל תקיעתנו ותקבל ברחמים ברחמים וברצון סדר שופרותינו.
Tekiah, Shevarim Teruah. Tekiah, Tekiah, Shevarim, Tekiah, Tekiah, Teruah, Tekiah,
הרשת שפתנו ירב לפניך אל רם ונישא הרשת שפתנו ירב לפניך אל רם ונישא מבין ומאזין מביט ומקשיב לכל תקיעתנו ותקבל ברחמים ברחמים וברצון סדר שופרותינו.
Tekiah, Shevarim Teruah. Tekiah, Tekiah, Shevarim, Tekiah, Tekiah, Teruah, Tekiah Gedolah.
הרשת שפתנו ירב לפניך אל רם ונישא. הרשת שפתנו ירב לפניך אל רם ונישא. מבין ומאזין מביט ומקשיב לכל קטיעתנו. ותקבל ברחמים, ברחמים וברצון, סדר שופרותינו.
We turn now to Mourner's Kaddish. We think of our loved ones whom we've lost recently or at this time in years gone by. We mourn the recent passing of Sandra Engelson, Alice Chernick, Richard Mallon, Joseph Eny, David Eny, Jerome Hames, Marcia Burnham, Ralph Suskind, Robert Haskell, Fred Fenig, Sarah Cox, Jerome Sadler, Adina Epstein-Bialis, Mervyn Winokur, Phyllis Morgan, Robert Armador, and John Craig. We observe the yahrzeits for Jordan Dolgan, Charles Kaplan, Ruth Kent, Lillian Nell, Nora Coppell, and Philip Suskin. To those names we add, we rise for Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, bi'alma divrach yirteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayachonu v'yomechonu v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru.
Amen.
Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lamei almaya. Yitbarak v'yishabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitraman v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei d'kudusha barichu la'ela birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru.
Amen.
Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru.
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'imromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imiru. Amen. May the source of peace bestow peace on all who mourn, and may we be a source of comfort to all who are bereaved. And together we say, Amen.
Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'imru.
Amen.
Amen.
So a few announcements as we conclude our service. First of all, Shana Tova to everyone. Reminding you that we have a very special family service coming up later today featuring our choir. We hope you'll join us. And tomorrow for our second day Rosh Hashanah celebrations, I'll be teaching in the morning. And after that, we will have in-person tachlich along with a picnic. What happens if it rains? I'll be there. Bring your umbrella.
I'll be there too.
We'll be there together. Can't wait to see you. We conclude with the priestly benediction and then our closing song. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
Can you hear that song?
May God's light shine upon you, and may God be gracious to you. Yisar Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
Can you hear that song?
May you feel God's presence within you always, and may you find peace.
Our closing song on page 299, Ein Keloheinu. Let's join together. Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kodonenu, Ein Kemokeinu, Ein Kemoshienu, Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kodonenu, Ein Kemokeinu, Ein Kemoshienu,
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.